If the purpose of your show is to win converts, then your tone is counterproductive. If your purpose is to complain and throw cheap shots, you're doing a good job, right up there with the neoconservative right.
And I want to interrupt actually before we get to the next sentence, just briefly, because as I mentioned early in the announcements, the purpose of the show isn't necessarily to gain converts. Atheism isn't a religion or a philosophical set of positions or anything that you would want to convert anybody to. It's a single position on one question, and that is, do you actually believe that a God exists? If your answer is yes, then you're a theist, and if your answer is no, or I don't know, or maybe, or whatever, you're an atheist. You lack that belief. Now, you can define it in other ways so that it's much more stringent, and I do. I am depending on the definition, a Gnostic atheist, in the sense that in any definition that is useful for knowing something, like I know that the Earth orbits the sun. That kind of knowledge, I think I can make a claim that I know that no God claim has been supported by evidence and whatever. But this isn't about winning converts, and I think there's a fundamental difference in mindset between the theists and Christians in particular, where you guys are just like the religious right, and all you want to do is complain and take cheap shots. What's a cheap shot? Because if a Christian is making a claim about something that is supernatural, that is part of their belief system and whatever, and they make an assertion that something is true, and I point out that they have no evidence to back it up, and that they're relying on testimonial and anecdotal evidence, is that a cheap shot? If I point out that your holy book, which you claim is, or many of you would claim, is the Word of God and authoritative, and a guidebook for your life, is full of horrible things, is that a cheap shot? I mean, it's not my fault that the stuff's in your book. It's not my fault that you happen to dismiss some of it. We had a discussion a little bit yesterday on nonprofits about this, where you've got Christians who are saying, no, we don't want the Quran here because it's full of terrible things like stone non-believers. And I'm like, have you read your book? I mean, where it says that if you have an unruly child, you're supposed to take him out to the edge of town and stone him to death? Where it says, homosexuals have committed abomination, and male homosexuals. Lesbians are okay by the Bible. Just ask Ruth. But
they don't even admit to.
In any case, I
women
don't
having sexuality.
Completely sidetrack off of the first couple comments. But if you're going to accuse us of making cheap shots, you need to provide examples. Maybe the Ruth comment on lesbian might qualify as a cheap shot.
I think that this author would put that in that
But
category.
that is not a core response that we would use here on a regular basis. Anything that we're talking about when we're actually getting down to the issues of what is true and what is believable and what is justifiable, we're talking about evidence and the lack thereof. And it's hardly our fault if your book is full of nasty things and there's absolutely no corroborating evidence for what you believe. But
on the topic